Dispatch all biters. My quest to free the country of zombies. By Mystic Alchemist. Copyright 2020 Mystic Alchemist. All rights reserved. Written in Australian English. This book is a work of fiction. Names, characters, places and incidents are either a product of the author's imagination or are used fictitiously. Any resemblance to actual people living or dead, events or locales is purely coincidental. Chapter 18. New plans. 4 trucks lined up side by side in a fuel stop near the edge of town. Motors stopped and everyone completely unsure of what was going to happen. Time for a conference. I'm sorry for the change of plans, but we'd been fed some false information and I needed to make changes to keep everyone safe, I began. The next important thing is no phones or radios. If you've got one, leave it out now. Our enemy home on the signals and attack without checking who is there, and we've proved this before. No one made any effort to get out a phone. I thought you wanted those arriving to meet our zombies to form a bigger army to attack the traitors. Nigel said. I did, I said. Pity someone didn't tell us that the planes unloaded on the tarmac, not in the terminal. Anyhow, did anyone get any information about the range of the infection? She did, Nigel said, looking at Kathy, and all eyes turned to her. The whole country is affected. It looks like there is a quarantine cordon around the borders with everyone stopped from entering except certain planes designated as offering aid. She had the air controller computer working, Nigel said. Where did this plane leave from today? I asked. Fair Beach, Kathy said. Everyone gasped. All the flights left from there to the other cities. There's a big port there, one of the men said. And the biggest airport on the west coast, Kathy said. So that's where their base in this country is then, I said. We could get there in a good day's driving, our bus driver said, others nodding. We're on the road already. We'll move off further now. No headlights and I'll find us a place to sleep for the night, I said, looking in our truck for the snacks I'd taken from the airport. We'll find more food too, but be prepared when we drive to stop and hide quickly when we hear something. I don't want a series of attacks to announce our path. I had Geraldine with me when we set off, the others scattered through the 3-gun trucks. Nigel with Kathy. She's a traitor, Geraldine said, we need to make her walk the plank. She's playing both sides, waiting to see who wins. At least we know it now. You're being too soft with her. I'm using her information. But you don't know when she's lying. But she knows that now and will tell a lot of truth to hide the lies. All we have to do is decide what the lies are. It's too much trouble. Just stab her. I've thought that too, but Nigel. A motel on the edge of the city offered a good place with other vehicles scattered around for cover. I led the others into the parking spots in front of the motel rooms, the other 3 spacing their trucks to make it look less obvious. I could hear no moaners, but that was not always a sure sign. Geraldine and me will get keys from the office and then clear the rooms. I'll watch your back, our bus driver said. I was liking that man more and more. The office door opened with a turn of the knob. Still no moaning, but so dark and hard to make out anything. We stood waiting and listening. Should be behind that counter, our bus driver said, I can't see it though. Neither could I, but I did advance toward the counter. Still nothing. A narrow gap between the end of the counter and what looked like a vending machine. Might have chips, Geraldine said. Only be small packets though, I said to dissuade her from breaking the door. Chocolate bars too. Through the gap and shuffling along, looking up where the keys should be, Geraldine close behind, hearing her rattling the vending machine door. She'll be asking for my axe in a moment. Then I felt something in front of my advancing right foot. Not hard but more softer and yielding and hissing. Head or feet, I didn't know what was lying where, but I had certainly woken it and it was moaning as well as hissing and trying to stand up. All I could do was slash with my axe ahead of me, hoping to hit something. 2 swipes found only air, but the 3rd found something more solid and increased the amount of moaning. Behind me was more loud noises. Mainly glass smashing, shards hitting the back of my legs. Geraldine. I kept attacking with my axe, trying to aim where the hissing was coming from. It didn't seem to want to stop even though I was sure I'd hit it in the head at least once. Have you got something to carry the loot? Geraldine said to our driver while I was still trying to stop the hissing. I decided there had been two once I was certain I'd stopped one. I could feel his body still against my legs, and the other was higher up, either kneeling or maybe a child. Sliding my axe side to side like a scythe, I advanced alongside the lying one until I felt something hard and heard a crunch and the hissing stopped. Nearly finished, Geraldine said. This last lot feel like cookies. I can't find the keys. Maybe I should give up and axe the rooms. We're not quite finished. You can look more. I felt around in the dark on both sides looking for anything that felt like a large motel key fob. Still nothing. Then I thought the owner would have a master key, but I really didn't want to search down here for that in the dark. We can go now. I did, backing out and retreating out of this office. While Geraldine distributed snacks, I axed and then cleared the close-by motel rooms. We only found 2 rooms with moaners and we didn't use them for us. I had Geraldine with me. I'll stay with my dad, she said. Too tired for much else, we just took off our boots and lay down, pulling a cover up and snuggling close. I've never had a dad before, she said softly to me as she wormed herself into my chest. I've never had a daughter, I said, feeling her curled up body hard against mine, and I like it so much I want to always have one. She was still tight against me when I woke, light pouring in through the flimsy curtains to tell us it was time to be awake. You really want to keep me? Geraldine said, her voice crackly with sleep. As long as you want me. We better get up and boss the others, can't let our crew get too lazy. Lazy wasn't the word I would have used, but I knew what she meant. The rest were already awake, and checking out the motel more. The keys were so close, our bus driver said, easy to see in the light. You certainly made a mess of those undead. Next stop food, I said. Let's move out. A large highway convenience store appeared within half an hour's driving. Much like the motel, Geraldine and me cleared the moaners and the rest searched for supplies. There was plenty of soda and water and chips and chocolate as well as food cans and long-life milk and cereal. Even with the large group there was enough food for days. I did help the others add screwdrivers to their belts in case. What are you going to try when we get to Fair Beach? Kathy said as we were loading the trucks, Nigel doing the real work, even with his leg. Close down their transport, like we did back there, I said, then maybe do something to the port. It won't be like Everglade. What will it be like? Guards and soldiers and heavy surveillance. But will you know ways for us to get through? She was shaking her head. Or do you know who we need to use to get through? She nodded a little, it might be possible. Has anyone got a map of Fair Beach in their truck? I asked aloud. Plenty of head shaking, so I made another look inside the store for maps, finding 3 copies of a trucking atlas that had extensive maps of the area. I kept one and handed the others around. Looking for sneaky ways to get to the airport and also high places to use to observe the city. What are you really going to do? Geraldine said when we were back on the road and it was only the 2 of us. Take out all the power like we started to do before. Can I make the most sparks? Sparks and explosions are your job. Sometimes the big power towers are marked on the map. At our next break, everyone had suggestions about how to get to the airport unseen and what was the best lookout stop. How will you contact someone to get the inside information? I asked Kathy. She knows where one of the people live, Nigel said. We just go to their house at night. Through all the surveillance, our bus driver said. We can't all go, Kathy said. Just one of these gun trucks, Nigel said, it would look like one of theirs. Who goes? I said to Kathy. Maybe just Nigel and me. You going to let them go? Geraldine said when we were back on the road again. While she thinks we're waiting for us, we'll take out the power. That will be a nice surprise for her controllers. And a nice lot of sparks for us. 3 more stops and plenty of suggestions of how to sneak up to the airport and what lookout place would be best, and Kathy and Nigel discussing ideas of what information they could get. No one bothered to think how Kathy knew the exact place to go in this distant city from hers. No one asking exactly who this contact was, and the obvious question. Were they someone like us or an Eastern invader? It was Kathy that offered the next part of the plan. We need to meet at night. How about we find a motel like last night outside the city, then Nigel and me will go and do the meet then come back. That's a good idea, but it would be best if you don't drive much at night, I said. Why don't you stay in the city and we'll meet you somewhere in the morning? You name the place. That's a good idea, Nigel said. It might work, Kathy said. Give us 2 places to meet in case one has too many enemy, I said. Kathy suggested 2 places, a park and a shopping center, and one of the other men had a pen and marked the places on the map. You can go whenever you want, I said. We'll meet up with you in the morning. They were ready to go, the man who had been driving with them removing his things from the truck while Geraldine removed the spare ammunition from the machine gun. Take care, I said as they were ready to leave, and don't trust those Eastern traitors too much. Change of plans, I said to those left once Nigel and Kathy had drove off. We've got some work to do. I'm making the most sparks, Geraldine chirped in. We're going to take out all the power to the city tonight. We've traced the high power towers and we need to destroy them before they know we're here. But shouldn't we wait for that contact to help? One asked. And what if that contact is her Eastern controller and they're really setting us up to be captured, like they did back at the airport last night? I like the way you think, our bus driver said. It's a good plan. Let's go. Geraldine has worked out a way to a big substation and then all we need to do is work out how to stop it. I led with Geraldine navigating. Her instructions weren't perfect, but good enough to get us skirting around the main city toward a place where power towers could be seen ahead. She also told me that she'd taken all the bullets from the gun on the truck Kathy took. Nothing to use to attack us. Clever girl. Still early enough to easily see the power towers ahead, huge high ones with 6 wires on each. I stopped underneath them, getting out to inspect the towers closer, the others joining me. Not easy to topple, our bus driver said as we saw the thick steel angles that made up the lattice of the tower. Excavator, Geraldine said. Needs more than that, another said. Or we follow the wires toward town and attack the substation, I said. It might be guarded. I worry about that, cameras for sure. Maybe no one on site, but some will race to get there. Shoot the transformers, one man said. We've tried that before. Only with a few test shots, but the steel was too thick, but we'll get more ideas when we see what we're up against, I said, making ready to drive off again. I followed the road that ran close enough to alongside the power towers, seeing more and more signs of city. Scattered houses becoming more frequent and still stopped cars on the side of roads and around houses. Even a walking undead, but ahead the line of towers had stopped and we must be close to our destination. I stopped well before the substation. Still close enough to get a good look, but hopefully far enough away to not be noticed. That's huge, one man said. Must be enough to power half the city at least. I'd hoped for all, but he was right. No one would put all resources in one critical place. We need to hit at the one place where everything starts so one attack will kill all the rest. Everyone nodding at this man who seemed to know what he was saying. If we could shoot out the high voltage switching where these towers feed into the compound, that would do it. Take long to repair, I asked. A few days if they have the spares. But the best bit is you could most likely shoot from outside the compound and get away before anyone came. You come on the back of our truck with Geraldine and guide me where to go, the rest keep back a little and watch for anyone coming after us. I don't want your presence to be noticed by the cameras. Let them think it's only one lone truck. Excited murmuring as everyone found their new positions, the 2 in the back of our truck making their guns ready. Those waiting doing the same. Then we set off, The man behind shouted instructions through the driver's side window until I was close enough to guess myself. I saw both the guns out behind me and waited for the shout to stop. When it came, the shooting immediately began, both guns competing to shoot the most. I did see sparks. Then I saw a large arc of bright blue light like a lightning bolt, and it was making streamers of sparks toward the ground. Geraldine was shouting, but the shooting wasn't stopping. The sparks increased and were making loud bangs over the bangs of our guns. Then the man below was yelling to get away quickly. I did, starting the engine and driving away. When I looked back, I knew Geraldine would be happy. There were streams of sparks all around and wires seemed to be turning red as though they were about to melt. One did, and it made even more sparks and banging nearly as loud as thunder. "Time to get away," the man said to me. "That will take a long time to fix." I joined the other trucks and we drove away a distance before stopping to survey our handiwork. Still sparks flying and red pieces of metal shooting up like fireworks in the night, Geraldine cheering everyone. Further beyond were no sign of any lights. It was still not dark, but even so, nothing. "You said there would be more," I said to the man who seemed to know what he was talking about. "Nuclear plant by the water." Geraldine could hardly contain her excitement, but even I thought that might be a bigger explosion than I wanted. "It still has substations like this, but they will be closer to the plant and they definitely will be guarded." "Unless we could crash something on it," I said. "Any water supplies we can destroy while we wait for them to expect us looking for power. Huge pipeline close and smaller ones further away." "I like them big," Geraldine said. "Pirates need the biggest spray of water." "At least the pipelines are out of town," the man said. "You lead," I said, and we made ready for more destruction.